Welcome back to the Walking Dead reviews on What the Flick. This is Tim, Francis, and I'm Kim, and we're talking about No Tomorrow Yet. We thought there would be deaths, and there were not. So this is the episode in which they storm Negan's compound. They seem to do a good job, but then not that. There's also some assorted problems and pieces to think on as we progress through the episode. Focusing primarily on Carol and Glenn, I would say. Carol had a weird episode. She started with what looked to be, or what sounded to be, the happiest music we've ever heard on The Walking Dead.
Making acorn and beet cookies for the whole town.
Sounds great.
So healthy. So good for you. She finds a romantic interest seemingly out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And she's irritated with Morgan for bringing up that she didn't talk about what his idea of saving the wolf and essentially endangering everyone is, which I found kind of odd and never really figured out throughout the episode why she would be like that after being nearly on the cusp of killing him.
Well, first of all, I liked the episode. Second of all, Carol is facing morality issues where she, I think, is softening up. And I think that's why she didn't want Morgan to bring that up, because I think that she's realizing herself is that she's not so ruthless anymore. Is that she, like Carol at one point was a sweet mom-looking character who would kill you without blinking, right? And that's what we kind of loved about her. She hardened up after everything that happened on the show. I think she's becoming a little bit softer, but I think she's struggling with that internally because she knows what has to be done to survive in this world. So I think with the cookies, at the start, like you see her, this everyday kind of routine that you see in this world. She's shopping, the music's good, and then she just turns around, has to stab a walker, and suddenly her nice white clothing's all bloody.
And she's irritated.
She's irritated. It's very symbolic.
She's not scared or shocked
it's
or
like
adrenaline going. She's just like, ugh.
Yeah, it's kind of symbolic. It's like no matter what you do, you can act normal. Like that blood is still always going to be on you, if you know what I mean, because she's done so many awful
Club
things.
soda and lemon.
I think that will fix it.
Well, you said something interesting, which is she used to be all hard and stuff. I think this is still part of her. Like, this is who she is. Or maybe she's never really lost the mother side of her.
Yeah.
As Tobin brought up, like, you're the mother to everyone.
Not
even
to me.
though, not to me, let's go
Wink,
have
wink.
sex. But it's kind of hard to figure out who she is as a person. Was she always the mother? Has she become something more hardened? I really liked that progression from abused wife to crazy badass.
Yeah.
But maybe she went too far.
Well, that's true, but then we see she's been deep undercover for months now in Alexandria.
Do they still think she's like
They don't.
pathetic?
They've seen her when the walkers all came in. They saw her be a badass.
The wolves as well when she went in disguise.
No, she was in disguise, so they didn't know that.
They didn't know she did that.
They
Well, I
didn't
remember
know that.
Tobin said that you've done things that scare me to death.
Yeah, so that revelation, I believe, came pretty recently.
Yeah.
But for months and months and months, she was the happy homemaker.
Yeah.
You know, the mother to the town making.
She's no longer undercover.
She's no longer undercover, but did that change her being undercover for so long? Because she's still making cookies.
Well, we also have that shot of Sam's grave, which did that affect her?
I think she feels
she knows
responsible for
that Sam's dead because of what she said
told
to him.
Yeah, and that's what.
I
think
she knows.
Well, he might, but I mean.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But
I wouldn't feel guilty over
But
that.
everyone was looking for a tie-in to that death. Everyone was like, remember when we talked about it, there was a bunch of sources that were like, it was a stupid death, he didn't have to die. Well, you had to tie it back in somehow to what Carol said to him. Like, you can't just go on with her petrifying a kid. Like, there's given advice, but she petrified him into this frame of mind where he couldn't not see the monsters around him. So she had to face the repercussions from that. And I think she is. I think she's realizing that maybe she didn't act as intelligently as she could have at that moment.
Well, perhaps that's affecting her along with the "you're the mother" line, because when she approached Maggie, she said, "I don't want you being this. You're supposed to be someone else."
She put the cigarette out.
Which is like, you're not supposed to be this killer. She was smoking.
Yeah, she was smoking, and she put the cigarette out when she seen Maggie. So it was kind of like, oh, okay, I don't want to smoke around.
And she's like, you should be what I failed to be, maybe.
Yes.
Or maybe I feel guilty that I didn't get to be the mother that everyone thinks I am.
Yeah, I think
she doesn't want to admit that you have to become like her to survive in the world. Because now we're building a new community where there is room for mothers. And although she's too far gone already, she wants Maggie to not have to be her.
Yeah.
I think
Maggie
that's how I read it.
will be her
I see that. I think Glenn's kind of storyline was more interesting to me to see that
I
take
didn't
place.
know that Glenn hadn't
Hadn't
killed
killed anyone.
I just thought he had at some point.
Yeah.
No, his kill count is 0, as is his friend Heath.
Heath.
And they both realize, well, that's not going to be true at the end of the night.
Yeah.
They go out and kill. They're kind of I like them as a team, but it was interesting to see that guilt and sorrow and fear, because we haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah.
You know, like this true feeling of humanity and the despair at the loss of that.
Yeah.
I think the whole raid in the compound was an amazing scene.
Yeah.
It wasn't a perfect episode, but I loved this episode. Typically when I watch it, I sit there and I take notes, I write down the plot points, but I was on the edge of my seat for almost the entire second half of this episode, so I have no notes
That
today.
was a fun scene.
Right? So, I mean, it's one thing that Glenn hadn't killed anyone before, but to like kill a sleeping person that you've never met before, who didn't do anything to you, like, that'll fuck you up. Yeah. That's a real thing that you have to live with for the rest of your life, which is why he spared Heath having to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, he immediately saw those pictures of like brutalized faces on the wall, so he didn't end up feeling
I think we can all guess what that is.
quite so bad about it, right? But still, to like kill someone asleep that you don't know because you think they're a bad person.
Yeah.
That's
You have
a
to kind
line
of
that you have to
rationalize
cross,
and
right?
Compartmentalize, I think, the way that Carol does and the way that she struggles with.
Yeah.
Which is where I think those two lines cross over.
Yeah, I think that was one of the most chilling scenes, I think, in The Walking Dead, is when Glenn had to kill that person lying there in his sleep, and you see how devastated he was. And it tied in this whole episode in Rick's plan. Like, this is a tie that I'm going to make that I think I could see so clearly with the moment when Tara was speaking to Denise, and she was saying, oh, like she lied to her. She told her that she loved her to get away from the point that she has done this before. And who does she do this with? The governor. The governor wanted to take actions towards a group that he felt would come for him if he didn't take actions.
I did notice
the way
that
Rick,
parallel.
there was I saw it so clearly at the start of this episode. I was like,
Remember?
okay, Rick's saying, kill or be killed. They'll come for us. We're going to do this. What is that stand? That is exactly, the governor we knew was crazy because he kept his daughter in a chamber. Rick, we know, is a personable character in this that we've all loved to see. But if you were just to come into this scene and not know Rick's past, it's exactly the same as what the governor did when he wanted to come and take over Rick's group.
It supremely reminded me of that scene when they were locked up by the governor.
Yeah.
And said, they're screwing with the wrong people.
And
Rick's group has screwed with the wrong people now.
Yeah,
they're
that
in
is it.
so much trouble.
And it's the same. I think they underestimated, well, they had to underestimate them, right? So you have to go in and take the action that they did, but not knowing who Negan was or what he could do, I think they did underestimate that, and it was always going to come down to the fact that this is exactly what happened with Terminus. Terminus captured Rick and his group, and they underestimated them, and then they would come back to bite them in the ass. That's what Rick's actions were to showcase in this. But again, it's like the ruthlessness that he went into this. He said it was a group discussion. Like, anyone else want to vote? He already made the plan. He already made the plan.
He already
made the deal. So there was no real deal there. Morgan was trying to toy with the fact that it's killing for what he could see is no exact reason at the moment. Yes, they would come for them. We all know that. But
well, listen, Morgan's idea would have never worked.
Oh, no chance. I know.
They would have been slaughtered.
I know.
But that doesn't mean what Rick has done is probably the right thing.
Yeah.
I'm kind of leaning toward they needed to do this at some point.
Here's a thought piece for you. Imagine we didn't have that cold open that one day. Imagine that Daryl and Abraham and Sasha never met any of Negan's people, and we're just going on the word of Hilltop. That these guys are monsters and they kill people and they're extorting us, and they make the same deal. How do we feel about that scene now? Now that Rick's group is going in totally cold. They have no experience with this
So what
group.
you're saying, this is more justifiable
So
because
that
we
we-
have some eyewitness
Right, because we've
information.
seen Negan's group be awful.
I
But
think
if
it's
we,
hard
the
for
audience,
us to-
hadn't seen
Yeah,
that,
As the audience to compartmentalize that, because we
Right.
know Negan is
Yeah.
terrible. Like, they don't know that in the context of
Well, that's
this
what I'm
narrative.
saying. If you're taking this from the point of view as the Alexandrian people in the Alexandrian community, you don't know what's happened with Daryl and them. They might have told you, but you didn't see the ruthlessness in Negan's group. So you're just taking this by word of mouth from Rick. Rick's word to you is Bible. You need to go in, take care of these people. And he makes a very compelling case. And we know that it's going to be the right decision. Nonetheless, it still doesn't take away from the fact that I'm making these comparisons. That's what makes this show so fun for me, is because you see this constant battle of morality. Rick states to Carl, I want to show you the new world. Well, the new world looks a whole lot like the old world from what I just seen there. Like, it looks exactly the same. A lot of bodies piled up.
Yeah.
And I'm not just...
That is what
Except
Jesus
now
said.
we're the guys that shoot first.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. And that's what's fun about it. Trust me, I'm not ragging on Rick's decisions. I understand he had to take it. But it's now who's the antagonist. That's it. Like, we know the Saviors are a bad group. We know what
But
they
is
might
Rick's
have done.
group worse?
But is Rick's group worse?
No.
That's the thing. Well, you're sympathizing with the group you know.
So to the audience,
Because
no.
we like them.
But to the saviors, to the saviors, this is just another group of saviors that came in and killed us in the night and stole all our shit.
Yeah, exactly. How do we not know that there might not be Daryls and Heaths and Glens in amongst the Saviors group? Because there is some barbaric people. Rick's barbaric in the way that he will take action.
I don't think he's as barbaric as Negan, though.
Well, I've never seen Negan. I've never read the comics.
I mean,
don't
you
know.
did see those pictures.
I didn't know if that was
Did
Negan.
Rick
Don't
ever
know if
do
it-
that?
It was. There is some
He
people.
beat the shit out of a.
Yeah, he
Beat
beat the
the
shit out of a
shit
face.
out of
Head.
a lot of living people with a terrible implement.
Yeah, that one scene was great.
We know that Negan's group is bad.
yes.
Rick suspects that Negan's group is bad.
Yes.
Kill them.
So he has to kill them all.
Kill them all.
It's creating a very interesting gray area in the world, which I am interested to see
That's
where it
what
goes.
makes it. That's what makes it better. We're not here to just say that. Oh, this is awesome. They keep killing people. We love this. It's to try and pick apart like what's the line that's drawn. In that one scene that you just brought up, it reminded me the hilltop spectator that they brought on to kind of help decide where to go. When he picked up the head that was supposed to be the hilltop's leader, and he said, "Oh, his nose is a little funny," and Rick just beats the shit
Wails
out
on
of the
him.
nose.
And then
he's
turns
like,
and says his new catchphrase, "What?"
Yeah, what? He fought back. And then he said, I've seen the Saviors. Those guys are brutal, but those pricks are nothing compared to you.
I
So
want
is
to
that
bring
right?
up a fun Easter egg brought up to my attention by Alonzo Duralde, who's looking at me right now, which is that one of the heads is a cameo from Johnny Depp.
Oh, really?
Yes, it is his head cast.
That
I
guy
believe,
is a
from
real
Black
chameleon. I
Mass.
couldn't
Black
tell.
Mass?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And
Interesting.
I think it's the one on the right when you look at that shot.
I
That
have to
should
check
be
it
Johnny
back.
Depp.
I'm going to look
So,
it back and see.
fun fact
Yeah.
and tangent.
I think there's only one other plot arc to talk about in this episode, and that's Abraham.
Oh, yeah.
And his-
thought you were the last woman on earth.
That is the
and you
worst
are-
insult I've ever heard in my
that
life.
was so
What a
brutal.
That's worse than any Walker trying to kill her, man. That was cutting.
You could just say something else to break up with her.
Right?
That
It was out of left
terrible.
field, but it was like really well written and acted, and I believed everything.
She didn't deserve any of that.
But still, that was tough to
That was
watch.
So and that's why the whole Carol relationship doesn't bother me. That's why we suddenly see Denise and Tara say, like, she's saying she loves her when she actually does love her, because again, there's no time to waste. You need to make a decision. Like, things can change tomorrow. I don't think it was the nicest way to put it, but if his mind is made
And
up
that
that
it
this
was
is
a
not the girl that he's
complete dick move.
yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
agreed.
come on. That makes
so
breakups
mean.
everywhere look.
What did
just
she ever
not
do
like
to
nothing.
you?
I know that is. I thought you were the last woman on earth. Like, he turned around that insult.
That
Like, I
means-
wouldn't go with you if you were the last woman. No, I did, but now I'm going to move on because there's more women.
It's
And
terrible.
it was interesting. But I really liked the theme that was going through this episode. I thought it was a really good episode.
Yeah.
I think this whole since the mid-season break has been really, really strong.
Yeah.
And I think the
I'd
episodes
say
are
there
getting better and better.
This is the
Not-
second weakest one, I would say, from the mid-season break.
Well, maybe. I mean, they're not perfect episodes, but I think we're in a good place and we're headed towards a really interesting story that I'm
And
excited
that
for.
story is they've got Carol and they've got
Carol,
Maggie.
Maggie.
And I don't know what's going to happen to our two potential mother figures.
I know. From what we heard from Negan, I can imagine it's not going to be pretty.
I would like to see Carol just pull a Carol and go crazy and kill them all from the inside. I don't think that'll happen, though. Audience, stick with us next week when we find out. Thanks for watching.